If you are not technical and are thinking about building a software startup, this video is for you. How do you build a software startup if you are not technical? For years, the standard advice was simple: find a technical co-founder. There are entire communities around this idea, such as the Y Combinator co-founding matching platform. But with the rise of AI, this advice is becoming less obvious. Why spend time and effort convincing someone else to build your idea when you can build it yourself with AI? You don't have to give up equity, you avoid potential co-founder conflicts, and most importantly, you can start building right now. AI companies certainly want you to believe that. Sam Altman made headlines by saying that soon we could see a one-person billion-dollar company.
A one-person billion-dollar company, which would have been unimaginable without AI, and now will happen.
And today there are plenty of tools that allow you to vibe code a website or an app without really knowing how to code. So why not just start building? And my honest advice is go for it. Seriously, there are some caveats, and I'll get to those in a minute, but if you haven't tried building stuff with AI yet, it's absolutely worth experimenting with. You might be able to put together a proof of concept, collect all the user feedback, launch a landing page, hook up Stripe, and who knows, maybe even land your first paying customers. There are still plenty of good reasons to have a technical person on the team, but even if you bring someone in later to take over the technical side, these skills will remain useful for running experiments, testing ideas, and communicating what you actually want to build. Sometimes building a working prototype with AI is faster and easier than trying to explain the idea in words. There must be a catch, right? There is always a catch. That's just how life works. But before I get into that, I want to make one thing clear. AI is not perfect, but I still recommend that you at least try it, and I'm sure you'll find plenty of good use for it. Okay? Now, what could go wrong? We recently surveyed engineering leaders to understand how their teams use AI and what concerns them most. I'm not going to walk through the entire report here. If you're interested in reading it in full, I'll put a link in the description below. I do want to highlight a couple of key findings. First, as you can see, quality and security are at the top of the list of concerns. We all know AI can make mistakes, but this report underscores just how serious it can be. AI-generated code may contain bugs or security vulnerabilities, and that's a concern for most technology executives across companies of all sizes, from small startups to large enterprises. This is not to say that humans don't make mistakes. They certainly do, and sometimes maybe even worse than AI. But this is why engineering culture matters. Good engineers know that mistakes are inevitable, so they build safety nets to minimize their impact on end users. Automated and manual testing, code reviews, production monitoring, and other safeguards are all designed to prevent bugs and security vulnerabilities from reaching production systems or causing serious damage. When people rely too heavily on AI, these practices can weaken and software quality declines. How might this affect you if you are coding your startup? Building a high-quality product with AI still requires a human in the loop. If you are only looking at the user interface and telling the model what to do based on how the product looks and feels, you are effectively ignoring the technical side and leaving those decisions to the AI. Most of the time, it will probably make reasonable decisions, but sometimes it will get things wrong, and those mistakes tend to pile up. The more you build on AI's technical judgment alone, the more cracks appear in the product. You add a feature and something else breaks. A customer reports corrupted data and you're not sure what happened. Someone asks, is it secure? And you don't know what to say because you genuinely don't know. Another interesting finding from the report is that everyone is using AI to build software. That may not sound remarkable at first until you realize there are no exceptions. Every respondent said they run AI-generated code in production. Not a single person said they don't. So, if you're thinking, I've learned how to use AI and now that's my competitive advantage, I'm sorry, it isn't. At least in software, everyone is already using it. If you want to stand out from the crowd, you'll need to find an advantage somewhere else. Now, let's get back to the original question. Do you need a technical co-founder? I'd actually break it into two separate questions. First, do you need someone technical on the team? And second, Does that person need to be a co-founder? For the first question, I'd say yes. If you are serious about your startup, sooner or later you'll need someone technical on the team. Just look at the competition. The world is already full of half-baked, vibe-coded startups that nobody really needs. Their code-generated landing pages all look the same, and they don't exactly inspire confidence. When these startups fail to gain traction, their founders often assume the idea was bad and move on. But sometimes the problem isn't the idea, it's the execution. The last thing anyone needs today is another piece of AI slop. Imagine you're a non-technical founder building everything yourself, while your main competitors have professional developers on their teams. Who has the edge on technology? The answer seems obvious. They do. And yes, developers use AI too, but they use it differently. They know what to ask for, what to trust, and what needs fixing. It's on another level compared to someone with little or no technical experience. If you are looking for a co-founder, first and foremost, you need to get along well. You'll likely spend years together in a highly stressful environment, and conflict between co-founders is the last thing you need. In 2023, OpenAI nearly collapsed amid the conflict involving its founders. And there are countless similar stories, just not all of them make the headlines. So, before giving someone a significant stake in your company, make sure your values are aligned. Otherwise, you may not like where that partnership takes you. Next, a technical founder needs to be good at what? At technology. That sounds obvious, but it can be surprisingly hard to verify, especially if you are not technical yourself. So, if you have a friend in tech whom you trust, it might be a good idea to ask for their opinion. And before making a major commitment, maybe try working together on a small project to see how it goes. Here are 2 high-level traits to look for in a technical co-founder. First, the ability to make sound decisions independently. Pay attention to how they engage with the project. If they ask for detailed specifications rather than discussing the problem and proposing solutions themselves, you may be dealing with someone who lacks autonomy. Not a good sign. And if they do decide things on their own, but those decisions seem odd, that's not a good sign either. Second, a balance of technical enthusiasm and pragmatism. It's natural for talented developers to be passionate about technology. It's what they love, and that's why they are good at it. But that passion is a double-edged sword. It can lead to too much effort invested in the technology rather than the product itself. And exotic technology choices can make onboarding new team members harder than it needs to be. Your ideal technical co-founder should be able to strike that tricky balance between shipping fast and keeping the product solid and secure. Bringing someone on as a co-founder means giving them equity, which in turn affects their salary. The most common split between 2 co-founders is 50-50, assuming they joined at roughly the same time and with equal commitment. A second founder who comes on later, once the MVP is built and the startup has already acquired its first customers, will typically get less, say 40-60. If they join significantly later, the split may be narrow still. At the early stage, founders often take no salary at all, or just enough to cover living expenses. As the startup becomes profitable or raises more funding, salaries rise, approaching market rates by Series A and beyond. This is what it's like when you do have a technical co-founder. What if you don't, but still want someone technical on the team? A technical co-founder would normally take on the CTO, Chief Technology Officer role. You can hire for that role instead, but if you are offering little to no equity, you'll have to compensate with salary. And market rates for experienced CTOs are steep. Hiring someone less experienced is risky, since this person will be responsible for many high-impact decisions, and getting those decisions wrong can be costly, or even sink the startup. A popular option is hiring a fractional CTO, the same job as a full-time CTO, just part-time, giving you an experienced technology leader for a fraction of the cost. Rates vary depending on where you look, company size, and level of involvement, but they typically start around $3,000 per month and can go up to $25,000 for large companies. This video is brought to you by iVellum. We have a unique offering, free fractional CTO services for all our clients. If you are interested, check out the link in the description below. Now, back to the video. If you decide to hire a CTO, whether full-time or fractional, look for the same qualities you'd want in a technical co-founder. They need to make sound decisions on their own and find the tricky balance between being pragmatic and enthusiastic about technology. You also need to get along well. The difference is that with hiring, the stakes are lower. If it doesn't work out, and sometimes it won't, you can part ways far more easily than with a co-founder. So let's summarize. Do you need a technical co-founder in the AI era? Maybe. It depends on what you're building, but there is a chance you can start without one. And I highly encourage you to try building things with AI yourself. But even with AI, at some point, you will probably need someone technical. Whether that person needs to be a co-founder is entirely up to you. Good luck with your startup. I hope this video was helpful. And if you need any advice on technology, feel free to reach out using the link under this video. See you in the next one.